Hi Barna. So today we have Barna Saha from UC Berkeley with us. Hi Barna.
Hi, Nutan. It's
Uh,
very nice to meet you.
yeah, same here. Actually, I would like to start with the following question: that how has this whole pandemic and then the lockdown that followed it affected you?
Well, I would say that I am one of the privileged one. Because I work in academia, it hasn't really affected me as much. Yes, obviously, like the question is what reference frame you use for comparison, right? So I was living in Massachusetts before. I had a big house there, backyards there. I didn't know what to do with it because we have a very small family. And then we moved to Berkeley last year, and we live in an apartment, and we thought that's absolutely, like, we have two rooms, and that's absolutely the space we need. And but then during the pandemic, it felt like, oh, we really miss our big backyard because we're confined in an apartment. But that's about it, right? So it's like it's nothing compared to the societal and economical impact that this pandemic has brought in the world. uh, uh, from research point of view, again, I think we are very lucky because we work in theory,
That's
so
right.
we can do our work at home. It just doesn't matter too much to us. Obviously, we love to interact with students, and working on the board together is just like a totally different experience. But still, like, now there is a lot of technology around. We can, even if we cannot get the perfect situation, we can simulate it very close, right, over like Zoom, Skype, and there's all these technologies available that we can have interactions. And anyway, like, we nowadays we collaborate with so many people across the world, and we are always using all of these. So obviously, pandemic made us use these technologies even more, but nothing, I won't say it's a very big change.
Yeah.
And for me, I personally like to do research. Kind of, it's like there are a few months in a year where I would really prefer to stay at home and work on some problem more vigorously. And so it's nothing new to me to work at home.
That's right.
The main challenge, I would say, that the kids are at home,
Mm.
right? Because their schools are not open and they're at home. So keeping them engaged through the entire day, that's, so now there is really this challenge of work-life
Right.
balance.
Did you have to homeschool? Did the homeschool sort of start for your kids, for your son, or how did it go?
So for my son, they also transformed into online teaching in the beginning of March. So from 8:30 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, essentially there is this is a school hour. In between this time, the teachers will meet him twice or thrice during this block for half an hour or something like that, and they will give him task to complete in between.
Hmm.
That was how they were conducting the school. At least there was some structure. It was not completely unstructured. There was some structure to his day. But then the parents obviously have to be involved much more
Yeah.
to see that it's going all right.
Right.
So there was a lot of responsibility on our part as well to make sure that the kids are getting something out of the day.
And then you had to balance your teaching also probably during the similar hours. So how was that? Was that quite challenging?
So the teaching, again, it moved to online teaching. So I was teaching a big undergrad class, and we had to move everything to Zoom in the beginning of March, and that just ended. So May 26th was the day when everything ended. The grading and all of these, posting the grades and all of those things. Uh, yeah, obviously, like, it's between me and my husband, we had to manage. Like, during the teaching, I definitely needed uninterrupted time, right? So it's like,
Naturally.
eh, during the research meetings, you would see my son. Yeah. But during teaching, I didn't want that. But,
Is he going
so
to
yeah.
is he going to appear as a co-author on any of them, or like no? John had put his daughter, I think, when she was 1 month old, so 1 year old.
Yes, maybe to draw some pictures on the papers.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, it is quite a change, I think. But like you said, for us theory people, research at least is not heavily affected.
definitely. I think we are very privileged in that sense. Like we do not need do not need laboratory equipments to do our work or even access to like intensive systems or anything like that, right? So it's as long as it's mathematical, so we can do it at home. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, true. And how about your students? Have you managed to keep in touch with them, and are they feeling somewhat lost?
Yes, like I think it's a difficult time for the it's in general is a difficult time for everybody because uh, my students are all international students and they're in US, their parents are in other parts of the world, so it's like uh, and they cannot travel, so it's obviously there is a lot of pressure,
Mm.
mental pressure on them, and their financial situations is definitely different from our financial situation, right? So there is obviously there is obviously a lot of pressure on them, and
Uh,
so
why?
at,
Sorry.
yeah, my students at this point they're quite advanced in their PhD, so at least from that angle, like it's not that they need my guidance at day-to-day basis. So we are meeting once or twice every week over Zoom to make sure that the projects are going okay.
Hmm.
um, yeah, so far it has worked. I won't say I don't see too much, but obviously uh, not just PhD students, it's also equally relevant for the students who are taking your course. So
Yeah,
I tried to be as lenient as possible because the situation is so different.
yeah.
There were students who were saying that we do not have access to internet as much like as we want. So just attending the classes, uploading the homeworks or doing the assignments, everything was difficult for them.
Yeah.
And many of them are like sharing rooms with others, so it's yeah, so for them I think the challenge was much more
Mm.
like harder than what I as a much senior researcher felt.
Certainly, certainly. And then that, I mean, by meeting them, your PhD students twice a week and so on, I think that's a really good frequency to maintain during this time. I mean, I am kind of able to meet them once a week right now, and even sort of that gets tough sometimes because, as you said, like my students are at their home, so the environment is not always conducive for them to switch on a meeting and start
Exactly.
discussing that. So yeah, it's quite good actually. I think just being there for them must be a good support already,
I hope so.
and I'm sure. Yeah.
I do not have too many students, so that's another thing. It depends on how many students you have. So I try to keep a close contact with my students, at least to know what how things are going. So keep the number of students low. So probably that made the difference. Yes.
And because I managed to catch you on this chat, I would also like to ask you a little bit about your experience with TCS Women. So this is something you've been closely involved with for more than a couple of years, I think now. And so how did you get started with it? And in the current situation, has it sort of changed its form?
Yes, sure. I think that this is my favorite question. Yeah, so back in this will be the third year of doing this TCS Women event at Stock. 2 years back, I went to Princeton to give a talk, and I was talking with Sanjeev Arora, and he was the Theory Fest chair at the time. And just during the conversation, we were talking about Women in Theory workshop. The Women in Theory workshop, I attended it twice when I was a PhD student, and I really loved it. So I told him that why can't we do something like that at Stock, because it's a theory fest. So many people are coming here. It would be great to have some aspect of women in theory at Stock as well. And that's how basically it started. And then Virginia and Sophia and we did our first TCS Women workshop in 2018. And our main goal was to bring women students in the conference, because we see the ratio is really not women and men ratio in Stock and Fox is not really what we want. So we wanted to have more balance in the ratio. And so we felt like, okay, so we can raise some funding and we can help women students who may be in their initial years, so they might not have papers. And it's sometimes difficult for the advisors to send the students if they don't have papers, right? So it's like, so I just wanted to help out for the women students to come to Stock. And that's how it all started. In 2018, we had a panel, and yes, I think we just had a panel, and we supported students. In 2019, we expanded it further. I think you attended the panel in 2019. Thank you for that. I hope you enjoyed the experience.
It was fantastic, actually. It was really nice. Yeah.
Yes, I think, yes, we all loved the panel. And that gave us some time to spend with each other. Obviously, we like to spend time with our male colleagues as well, but it was just fun to see all the women in the room.
Yes.
But we also have TCS Women Spotlight Workshop that we started in 2019, where the goal is to give some platform to women students who will be soon in the job market. And I think it went really well last year. So we had an inspirational speaker. Ronnie Rubinfield was our inspirational speaker, and we had 4 amazing women students who were in the job market this year or will be in the job market next year, who gave talks. So coming to this year, obviously, and we also supported about 50 students to come to Stock, women students to come to Stock. We got generous supports from NSF, from various industries for the scholarships. This year, obviously, the situation is different. One good thing is, if you look at the registration fee, the Stock registration fee is just $50. And we are doing our TCS Women workshop, and that's free. Wow. So everybody can register there without spending anything. I think that's the fun part. At least there is some positive aspect of this pandemic, that everybody, irrespective of what is the financial situation of, they don't have to rely on that. They can register at least for our event.
Yes.
And we will have Shafiq Goldwasser for our inspirational speaker. And we have 7, again, excellent women students who will be in the job market next year giving talks.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. We are not conducting any panel this year, because panel, I think, is more like we want to be on the same room. We want to have these intimate discussions.
Right.
Yeah, so we didn't do it, but we are not doing it, but we are conducting this workshop, and I hope that it will be.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Actually, it is a really great initiative, and I wish you all the best for future years as well, because something like this is actually very good, and Stock is a great place to sort of make a segue into the community as well, because you get to meet really top-notch people there and get to hear really good works and so on. So
that's what we thought, that if the students come to Stock, then they can listen to some of the top works that have been done in that year. They can do the networking, not just with the other women students, but also with other, whatever, like all the researchers.
Yeah.
And again, if there are a bunch of women students together, it will be more enjoyable for them. So it's just
certainly. Wonderful, wonderful. So then this time it's going to be an online event, and is the registration still open for?
Yeah.
Okay, great. It will be open all the way till the end.
Yes.
So maybe I put this video up, I'll link to the registration page and hopefully.
Oh, that would be great.
Uh,
Yes, some advertisement for the event so that everybody knows about it
yeah.
would be great. Yes.
And also maybe people from remote areas, a lot of women students from India maybe usually may not be able to attend, but this year maybe they can. And
Exactly. We actually tried to give us scholarships. Obviously, we are also limited by the amount of funding that we can raise. One of the issues that always came up is the visa issues. Just getting the visa in a short duration was like so tough. So we missed out on many international students.
right,
I
right.
hope this time they can attend.
Yeah, with this now they can attend maybe, and that
Mhm.
would be great. Yeah. And coming to your research, in the sense that presently, are there like things that you are really kicked about that keeps you going during these times? Like in your research, what are the things you are most excited about right now?
So it's not. I don't think my research has been that like changed, given the pandemic situation. Uh, so there are. For me, it always the case that I work on very few problems at a time. And that's how I like it. So there are some problems, and so we completed one work during the pandemic, which is like not completed. So we at least we spend a lot of time on doing it. So that's on designing sublinear time algorithms for computing edit distance.
Okay.
Edit distance, it's a very fundamental measure for comparing sequence similarity. So you're given two sequences and you want to do minimum edits, insertion and deletion and substitution of symbols, so that after the edits, the two sequences look the same. Now, if you're given two strings of length n and you want to compute edit distance exactly, it will take you in quadratic time. And that's kind of the best that you can do, assuming some conjectures like strong exponential time hypothesis. And then the obviously goal was like n could be really large. You want to have faster algorithms. The way to get the faster algorithms will be to introduce approximation. So you want to approximate the edit distance as close to the optimal as possible and get a much faster running time. So there has been a lot of work in this area of approximation and running time trade-offs, right, for edit distance. So what we were working on was to, and this running time is generally reducing n squared to subquadratic to linear.
Wow.
And what we were working on is to go below linear to design sublinear time algorithms and to see what is the best possible approximation gap that we can achieve.
Right.
We had a paper in last year, Fox 2019, like I with Robbie Krautkammer and Elazar Goldenberg. We had a paper in Fox 19 where we gave some trade-offs in terms of running time and sublinear time and the approximation gap. But there were few open questions that came out from this work. I had a student visiting me here at Simons just before the pandemic, and I was thinking about some approaches like how we can fill up those gaps, and somehow like it clicked really well with the student.
Nice.
And then when he went back, I think he liked the problem, so we kept working on it, and yeah, so we made quite a bit of progress on that.
That's great. That's great. Are there any lower bounds known in this setup already? I mean, is there something that you just can't do in sublinear time?
Yeah, so for sublinear, there is some lower bounds known for, and that's coming from like long back from 2003.
Streaming sort of literature, or
No, there was actually in 2003, there was a paper on sublinear, like it's called weakly approximating at a distance. So there was a paper by Ronnie Trubenfeld, Sofia Shotnikova and others, where they could distinguish between like the case, in the one case, the edit distance is really high, very close to n. And the other case, so your high is, the one case is really close to n, the other case could be anything else. So It really, whether your edit distance is K versus N.
Mm-hmm.
That was the problem that they started. And for that, they showed lower bounds, and their algorithms actually matched the lower bounds. Here, what our work was not to depend on that K versus N, rather K versus a function of K.
Got it.
Yeah. And for that, we do not have any lower, we have some lower bounds, but these lower bounds are coming from Hamming distance or Ulam distance.
Okay.
We really do not have any stronger lower bounds even now for edit distance.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so I think that's a very nice open question that's still there even. So our works are mainly like we were trying to devise algorithms, and obviously we were looking for lower bounds, but we haven't yet been able to come up with a lower bound that's much stronger than what we know for Hamming distance or Ulam distance.
okay. I see.
Yeah, so that's one problem, and there are other problems too related to edit distance mostly.
Nice. Very nice. And just to wrap up, maybe our this short interview, would you like to kind of give some advice to young researchers or students who may be finding these times slightly unnerving, anxiety-inducing? So, is there some words of advice that you would like to pass on?
Yeah, I think I think it's a feeling that is universal. So they should not feel that they're isolated in this kind of situation. So all of us are going through this kind of unnerving situation. So it would be really good if they can keep connections with their friends, with their advisor, or whoever, with their mentors. Again through Zoom and all the online platforms, and family members, right? I think that will help. And take it easy. I would say it doesn't really matter if you are doing what you love, then it's a long career, right? You have ahead of yourself. So in that long career, what happens in 1 year is not going to change anything. So just take it easy. Things will get better. And remain connected. There are a lot of people around here who would love to talk to you, and who would love to help you in any way they possible.
Great. Thanks for such a positive note. We'll end this interview. Thanks, Barna, for talking.
Thank you, Nutan. Thank you so much.